Welcome to It's Not Just Menopause, the podcast that empowers you to navigate midlife with confidence through real talk, root cause insights, and no BS strategies that actually work. If you're dealing with fatigue, stubborn weight, brain fog, or just feeling off and overlooked, this show is for you. Discover what's really going on with your hormones and why it's not just about estrogen. Each episode breaks down what your doctor didn't explain, the internet got wrong, and what your body's been trying to tell you all along. From stress and metabolism to nervous system support and functional nutrition, we'll cover the tools that help you feel more like yourself, again, without restrictive diets, overwhelming plans, or hormone hype. I'm your host, Cindi Stickle, functional nutrition practitioner and certified menopause specialist. I'm here to guide you through the midlife noise so you can stop guessing, get the clarity you deserve, and finally take back control of your health. If you've ever felt dismissed, overwhelmed, or like your body just isn't responding the way it used to, you're in the right place. Let's rewrite the menopause story without the fluff. Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of It's Not Just Menopause. Today I want to tell you something that I haven't really fully laid out in one place before, and that is my story, and not the polished version, not the little short snippets here and there, but the real one, because I think a lot of you are living a version of it right now. And I want you to know you're not alone and you're not crazy and you're absolutely not broken. Okay. So for more than 30 years, I believe the answer was to work harder to lose weight. I developed gestational diabetes during both of my pregnancies, and a few years after my second pregnancy, I developed Hashimoto's. I have a multinodular goiter on my thyroid. And then, of course, 20 years later, I hit menopause. But for the first, basically 25 years, it was Hashimoto's and gestational diabetes. And each new diagnosis seemed to make it harder for my body to respond, no matter how much effort that I put in. And so the frustrating part was that I wasn't guessing. As a nutrition professional, I understood food better than most. I understood exercise. I knew what I was supposed to do, and I was doing it. But when menopause hit and everything became harder, my energy declined, my blood sugar became more difficult to manage. I was already at risk for getting diabetes because I had gestational diabetes. So I was always watching that, but it was still going up. And the strategies that had always worked before suddenly stopped working. I found myself asking the same question so many of you ask. Why isn't this working? Okay, what I eventually realized changed everything. I was dealing with decades of metabolic dysfunction that had been building beneath the surface for years. Before we get back to today's episode, this one's for you if you're on a GLP-1 and your body still doesn't feel right. Maybe you're exhausted no matter what you do. Maybe the side effects never really went away. Or you're barely eating and worried about losing muscle, or the weight was coming off and then just stopped. You're not crazy, you're not broken, and you're definitely not alone. If you've been told to just push through it, it's time for real answers. Take my free quiz, What Are Your GLP-1 Symptoms Really Telling You? In under 2 minutes, you'll find out what's actually behind how you're feeling and get my free guide sent straight to your inbox. Check the link in the show notes. And now let's get back to today's episode. Okay, so for many years, I tracked macros. I prioritized protein. I was strength training. I focused on my health and doubled down on whatever things that weren't working, right? And the macros I was tracking were for menopause because there are different nutrients that women in menopause need more than younger women and stuff. So, I knew my shit. I'm twice certified in macronutrition. I'm a functional nutritionist. I have 2 holistic nutrition certifications. So believe me when I say I know nutrition. So in 2024, after 10 months of doing all the things that I just listed, I only lost 7 pounds. 7 freaking pounds in 10 months. That's less than a pound a month. Not a week, a month. Okay. That was the moment I could no longer explain away what was happening. I wasn't overeating. I wasn't skipping workouts. I wasn't lacking discipline or effort for sure, but something deeper was going on. As I began researching metabolic health more deeply, right, I started connecting the dots between decades of insulin resistance, hormonal changes, inflammation, and the metabolic challenges that I had been carrying for years. And around the same time, I began taking a closer look at the GLP-1 medications. Okay, so like many people, I was skeptical at first. But as I dug into the research, I realized there was a much bigger story than the fear-based messaging that I had been listening to. And once I shifted my focus toward protecting muscle, supporting metabolism, improving metabolic health, and giving my body what I truly needed, everything started to change. So the biggest transformation wasn't losing 25 pounds. It was finally understanding that my body wasn't broken. For decades, I genuinely believed something was wrong with me because I knew it wasn't my discipline. I knew I was doing the work. Instead, I learned that my body had been carrying years of metabolic dysfunction that no amount of restriction could fix. I lost 25 pounds. My A1C is no longer in the pre-diabetic range. I'm no longer on my blood pressure medicine. My energy definitely returned. And for the first time in years, I felt like my body wasn't betraying me. But the biggest impact may have been what happened professionally. I realized there were countless women just like me, women doing everything right, yet feeling like they were failing because nobody had explained what was really happening beneath the surface. That realization is ultimately what led me to create the Fuel Method. I saw a major gap in support for women using GLP-1 medications. While many women were receiving prescriptions, very few were receiving guidance on preserving muscle, supporting metabolism, and protecting their long-term health throughout the process. You get your prescription from your doctor, you pick up your meds from your pharmacist, or they're sent to you in the mail, and that's it. They're like, here you go, see ya, right? So you are not given any nutrition guidance. And I feel deeply connected to this work because I know what it's like to do everything right and still wonder why it's not working. Believe me, years of this, okay? What I eventually learned is that many women in midlife are carrying years, sometimes decades, of underlying metabolic dysfunction long before menopause enters the picture. That was me. And I think it happened way before I even had gestational diabetes, back when I was in my teens and 20s. So when symptoms worsen or weight can become harder to lose, they're often told to eat less, move more, and try harder. A lot of times they're told by men, which shouldn't even be given advice to women in the first place. And I know that frustration because I've lived it. What I want for you is what I finally found for myself, understanding. When women understand what's actually happening in their bodies, they stop blaming themselves. They stop chasing every new diet. They start making decisions that support their long-term health, and they actually see their body change and the scale move for the first time in years or decades, like me. There is nothing more rewarding than watching a woman realize she isn't broken. Seeing her move from blaming herself and her broken body to finally seeing changes, like in her body and her mind, is truly why I do this work. I don't want women to spend the next 20, 30, 40 years fighting their bodies the way I did. I want them to have the answers, support, and tools I wish I had years or decades ago. And I believe your body is always communicating with you. Weight gain, fatigue, blood sugar issues, cravings, low energy, stalled progress. These aren't signs of failure. These are signals that your body needs support. That's why I created the Fuel Method. It's a nutrition and metabolic support framework specifically designed for women using GLP-1 medications. It's the first of its kind. If you haven't read my press release, go read it. But it's the first that combines the GLP medications, nervous system, and functional nutrition. Because lasting change doesn't happen when we force the body to cooperate. It happens when we stop fighting the body and start working with it. If this resonated with you, please share it with a woman who's been blaming herself for results or lack of results, right? That were never really about discipline in the first place. Because these women need to hear it. And if you're ready to figure out what your body actually needs, not more restriction, we're not cutting out food groups, right? Not more pressure, but real support. Please book a metabolism consultation with me and we can look at the whole picture together, okay? I'd love to talk to you and see what's going on. All the links will be in the show notes and I will be in your headphones next week. Thank you for tuning in to It's Not Just Menopause. I hope today's episode gave you real clarity about what's actually going on in your body and reminded you that it's not just your hormones and it's definitely not your fault. If you found value in this conversation, make sure to follow the show so you never miss an episode. You can also connect with me on Instagram at Cindi Stickle Nutrition or head to cindystickle.com for more resources and personalized support on your menopause and midlife health journey. Until next time, keep questioning what you've been told and trust that your body is not broken. You just need the truth and the tools that actually work.